This is another one of our interviews in a series we are calling UTeachTalks, where we are talking with some of our student teachers in the program. And I would like to have my guest introduce herself. So if you could tell us your name, your major, where you are from, and then any other programs, minors, certifications, any other certificates that you're doing that you could share with us as well. So please introduce yourself.
All right. Well, my name is Julie Ricks, and I was an English major. I did just graduate in May. Exciting time. So I took a slightly different route, pushed my student teaching back behind my graduation. Because of one of the other programs I was a part of, I was a member of the English honors community. And so I chose to write a thesis my senior year. So that's a bit about my education background. I'm from New Braunfels, Texas, so about an hour south of Austin. It's wonderful, cute little German town, great place. And let's see, what else? Did I cover all my bases?
I think you covered a lot of the bases. Yeah, is there any other sort of things you participate on campus that you want to share with us?
Oh yeah, so in my time at campus, I was a really active member of a group called the Texas Spirits, and I served as their president for 2019, and I absolutely loved being a part of that. I was a part of some other clubs that were actually related to business. I took, again, an unconventional route, and I started out as a business major my freshman year of college, and then shifted to English and joined the English honors program. So I did some other things in a different realm, ended up in 100% the right place for me, and I have loved all of my time involved with it.
Okay, so I got to ask about that. Like, tell me a little bit about that, what that transition from business to English is like, because I'll tell you, that's my own personal story. I was a finance major that switched to English in his junior year. So what was that like for you?
It was a rough transition. It was hard to make. I came into college not knowing what I wanted to study. I was very successful in high school. I'm a school oriented person. So I had done well. And because I didn't know what I wanted to do, I have an older sister who I'm very similar to, and she studied marketing. She's 4 years older than me, but we are often mistaken for twins. And so she studied marketing. So my parents were kind of thinking, well, she likes it, you might as well. And I got accepted into Macombs. So that's where I landed for the first year and a half, actually, of my college career. But I was in Macombs, which is an excellent school, and I was doing well. I actually really love math and science and the more analytical side. So I was doing well, but just not feeling any real passion about it. And so I spent a lot of time having a lot of meaningful conversations with my friends and parents and talking about what they could see me doing, really reflecting on what were the things that I had done in the past, that was there any correlation between what I did? And I started to realize that, oh, I was a camp counselor. Oh, I volunteered after school as a tutor for years. And I worked as a tour guide in Cavern because I love speaking to people. And so I started to think about, okay, I need something face-to-face. I need to have interactions with people. And English was always my favorite subject in school. I have a deep love for it. So I finally decided I just needed to take the plunge, combine the things that I loved, and I made the switch to English in the UTeach program.
Wow. So that's absolutely brilliant, because it was a very similar transition for me in that I was taking an English class to finish a minor, and I was completely in love with the class. And I couldn't stop thinking about the literature I was reading in my accounting classes.
Yeah.
So I made the transition too. It was just a lot later for me, unfortunately, but I don't regret it one bit.
Yes.
And I ended up working with people too, which is fantastic. So how did you learn about the UTeach program? How did you find out about it?
I actually had a friend from home who was a couple of years older than me who completed the UTeach program. She was a social studies major. And so when I started thinking about switching to education, I knew I was interested in older students. And so I knew that she was involved in some kind of education program at UT that wasn't just general ed. So I approached her and asked her about it, and she gave me all the information I needed to know and sang its praises. So I decided to look into it myself. And then I had, I think, a meeting with an English advisor, and I eventually made my way into your office a few times, I think. And so I was able to get the information I needed and join.
That's awesome. Well, we loved having you in the program. I think it's our treat. So let me ask you, in terms of teaching, and many times like people have sort of either these great teachers in their, in their past, or someone in their family was a teacher. Like, what's that? Where do you draw that inspiration from? Like, is there someone in particular?
I was very much influenced by my senior year AP Lit teacher. She was,
There you go.
there's always one of them. And I love,
There's always been.
there's always one. And English teachers are notorious for just bonding and being the good softies that we love. And maybe I'm biased because that's what I am. But so my AP Lit teacher, my senior year of high school, that year I took on a lot. I tend to be someone who likes to have a busy schedule. I was very stressed. I just had several moments where I found myself in her classroom just looking for guidance and help. And she was the person who was there for me every single time without fail. I loved her class, and some of the projects that she did were just brilliant. They went beyond thinking about the classroom. She had us do a year-long project where we had to write a series of essays talking about our life growing up. And it was culminated in like a senior memory book. And I just remember I was floored by that because I cried writing the chapters, and I was like, this is weird. I've never gotten so ensconced in my homework before, but it was
Right.
really fun, and she made the difference for me.
So who is this amazing human being that we're talking about?
Who is she?
Yeah, who is she?
Well, her name is Lisa, and she has a very hard last name to pronounce. It's like Jarochesky, but we all called her Miss J because
It's Jay.
it's difficult to pronounce, and it's very, very long. So Miss J was the statement. Senior year AP Lit teacher. She's since retired recently, actually. So she's no longer at my hometown high school. I'm from New Braunfels, as I said. So our high school mascot is the unicorns. So I was a proud unicorn. And
There you go.
yes, so she just recently left the unicorn family, but she was amazing.
Well, shout out to Miss J. I mean,
Yeah.
thank you for sending you to us as well. So shout out to her. So you were in your final semester, as you mentioned, right? Like you graduated in May, you pushed student teaching off for one more semester. So you're in student teaching right now, and student teaching, I've been saying, it's a 70-day consecutive placement. It's a grind, right? It is just long, long days. So I want to know a little bit about student teaching, what that's been like in this particular time, like in the middle of a pandemic, dealing with COVID, and some students are online, some students are in person. Like, tell me what that experience has been like for you.
Yeah. So I think myself and my fellow student teachers, we were all really nervous walking into this semester because there's just no precedent. No one knew what it was going to look like, turn out to be. Some of us were afraid of like, are we even going to be able to keep our same placements because the world is topsy-turvy. And I am really lucky in that I was able to stay with the teacher who I had worked with in 360 the previous semester. I was able to stay with her, and she's incredible. I love my cooperating teacher so much. Shout out to Miss Balfour. She's incredible.
Oh, wait a minute. Is it Erin?
Yes. No, yes.
It's amazing.
That's a reaction there should be.
Come on.
Phenomenal. But as far as the student teaching experience itself, I think another thing before any of the pandemic even came into the picture, I was always worried about feeling like a guest in someone's classroom. I never wanted to feel that way. And I'm a pretty loud personality, and I got kind of nervous about, is this going to fit with the person I'm being placed with? It does. But if you know anything about Mrs. Balfour, but it doesn't feel that way at all. If anything, I feel like this current circumstances with the pandemic has actually added more value to student teachers. I feel like I am able to contribute in a way that I don't know I would have done normally, because everything, we are reinventing the wheel, and the materials that teachers would have had prepared for years before are now having to change and be converted to an entirely new format. And so when I'm stepping in and I'm just another pair of hands to help, I feel like I have a significant purpose, and like I am truly helping and learning at the same time. So it's honestly more than I ever expected to get out of student teaching. I've become very close to my mentor. I love the school that I'm placed in. And I genuinely feel like we're having a partnership, as opposed to me feeling like a guest in someone else's classroom. I feel like I learn from her, I help her, and bring things to the table, because I did spend my last semester in UTeach. We kind of shifted, or the last semester I was in, we kind of shifted gears right at the end and started talking about, okay, we need to focus on virtual. What are the platforms we can use? What are the tools we can focus on? And so I was able to come in with some knowledge that she didn't necessarily have, because they haven't had to do that sort of thing ever. And so I feel like, if anything, I think I feel more valuable than I might have felt outside of this situation.
That's amazing, because I mean, I've talked to a couple of students and we've done some interviews, but you're the first person that sort of, has said, hey, I'm an extra pair of hands. I'm an extra sort of person that can help. What's been something that you think you sort of have brought forward to say, oh, we can try this, or we can use this piece of technology? Like, what has it been?
Well, just of all the things, I am really good with Nearpod. And it's a simple platform, but we weren't doing it. And I started
Mhm.
adding, when I took over creating all of the slides for my classes, I started
Mhm.
making every single slide deck interactive with
Yeah.
some form of, they have to turn something in, they have to respond. And that has been actually really great. The number of responses has skyrocketed, and we have over half of our students with their cameras on and they're responding. And because engagement has been difficult, and at the start that was definitely a huge challenge, but I think another thing that I've been able to bring to the table is, because I am young and I just graduated from college, I also am very much on the same social wavelength as some of my students. And when we're fighting for any way to get them to lock in and connect, I mean, I start every class with memes, and I end every class with a list of homework that is just like random self-care things that I want them to do. And so I feel like, because I can bring in things that they're talking about, like these weird computer games that are popular right now and all of that,
Right.
it's helped make them more comfortable unmuting and turning their cameras on. And I think it's just, whereas that happens so organically in an in-person classroom, it's been like
Yeah.
way more of a fight in this environment. And so I feel like that's something that I actually feel like I've made a difference with, and that I've helped with.
That's awesome too, because it's funny. We don't think about sort of just the physical presence that you can have in a classroom, where you can walk around, and you're checking on students and what they're doing. When you're like this on a screen,
Mhm.
it doesn't quite work the same. So that you're incorporating technology, I think, is great. And I think Miss Martin, our 101 professor, will be thrilled to hear that you're using Nearpod. Yes, she is a huge proponent for it. Yeah, so shout out to her too. We're doing all these shout
Yeah.
outs there, which is great. So tell me a little bit. You mentioned self-care. So tell me a little bit about, like, what are you doing for self-care right now? And now right now we need it the most. So what are you doing?
I, well, as any good English major should say, I read a lot. I would
Right.
be right if I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I definitely make time to try to separate what I'm working on from when I'm at home relaxing. And if that means I stay longer at the school, I enjoy doing that. And it makes it a lot easier that I love my cooperating teacher, because we can stay however long we need to and finish grading and finish doing our lesson plans for the next day. But I'm trying to make a point to separate working really hard to get everything done while I'm at the physical building, and coming back and kind of letting go of it, getting on some Zoom calls with friends, hanging out with the two individuals that are in my bubble safe to see, and eating a lot of ice cream, and that's what I do.
I don't blame you with the eating the ice cream. For me, it was, for me and my family, it was bread.
Oh,
Oh my goodness. Homemade bread of all kinds. We just sort of went to town on it. And after like 3 months, I was like, I gotta stop.
I love that.
I know, yeah, it's anything that's like just comfort food, you know what I mean? These little creature comforts. Um, so you're at the very tail end of the program, you're getting ready to finish. I mean, we're talking probably 5 weeks, right? It's like at the very tail end.
Yeah,
So you've been through the whole UTeach program already. I know when I say it that way, you're like, stop.
that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So you've been through the whole UTeach program. So tell me, like, is there a favorite memory that you've had of UTeach? Is there anything that sort of stands out? It's like, oh my God, this.
Well, I don't know if it's okay. There's a few things I want to say because I'll start out by saying I love this program. I truly, genuinely do. And to anyone who may watch this, this is not an ad. But I love it. And I think because I started in a different major, because I started in a different place that I didn't feel passionate about when I made the switch, it was just even more magical than I could have imagined because I was like, I feel such a purpose. I feel such a sense of belonging here. And I was welcomed into the program immediately and had people embracing me and saying, let's talk about what we need to do to be the best teacher we can possibly be. And I was like, yes, this is it. This is the thing I wanted. But I think for me, part of what's also been so special, I've already harped on it a lot, but I think the care that is taken in assigning placements is really special. And that's been so helpful for me because I love, as I've said, my mentor that I currently work with. And this is the second semester I've been with her because I had her for 360 and for student teaching. So she has been also a lot of my UTeach experience. And so I think,
Yes.
I know that y'all put a lot of thought into who we might go with and be paired with. And I think that has been something that has, for me personally, been really successful. And it's just absolutely made my UTeach experience. And then I think just this semester, honestly, has been amazing in ways that I never would have expected because everything else is insane. But like I said, just feeling valuable, being able to help, attending my Thursday night seminars and getting to talk to the other student teachers about how, my students are doing cute things. I had one student, this is probably my favorite memory from this semester so far. I had one student, I told you I make those like self-care lists. And the longer we get, I do it every block. And so the further along we get, the weirder they're getting and just really specific to things I like. And at this point, it's just me telling them to do things that I like so we can talk about it. And
Right.
one of my students actually took one of the lists from a few weeks ago and made a video of herself doing every one of the things in order. And she like edited it together and set it to background music. And it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. I almost started crying, and she emailed it to me and Mrs. Balfour, and we were just amazed. So I've had a ton of great memories, and I've considered myself lucky to have been a part of the program.
It's, I've been doing these interviews and these little rays of sunshine. There's no other way to say it other than that. It's like, and a lot of that has to do with sort of the connections that you're making with people. And that's the thing I think in the conversation that's being had about public education and about teachers in particular, we're sort of missing sight of that there are these beautiful sort of rays of sunshine peeking right through all of sort of what's happening around us. And they're absolutely amazing. In every interview I've done, it's, someone has mentioned something very, very similar. So yeah, lucky you, how amazing your students are going to be once you actually get your classroom, get out there, start working. It's going to be brilliant. I can't wait. Sort of getting close to the final question here. What would be one piece of advice or like a piece of wisdom that you would want to share with other people that are thinking about becoming teachers or other people that are thinking about doing UTeach? And I mean, you've sung praises to the program, but like, what's one piece of advice that you would give someone? Because you've had an interesting sort of trek.
Yes, I I've had a weird all around kind of journey to get here, but it's been a good one. I would say for people who are interested but aren't sure yet, come on over to the UTeach department and ask any questions that you have. Everyone is really willing and happy to talk to you about what it is and to be very honest about this is what it looks like, because you go into teaching because you love it, and so you need to have an honest answer about, like, are you going to love this with your heart and soul? Because it's the running joke that we don't get into the profession for the money, and
Money.
that's just the truth. So, but if it's something that is pulling at a person's heart, they definitely need to not be afraid to go in and ask people. I feel like sometimes I myself am someone who over time have had to learn how to ask for help. That's not one of my natural qualities. I like to be independent, but I think that's something that college taught me. And that's something that I would want to pass on to everyone else, that it is okay to ask for help and guidance when you need it. And I would say once they get into the UTeach program and start it, the same rule applies. Get to know your professors, because they are incredible educators who have been working in the field for years, and they know everything pretty much there is to know about it. So get close to them. Don't be afraid to ask them questions, and get to know your fellow UTeach teachers, members.
The other students in the program. Yeah, I mean, I think we do a good job. I think we do a good job of sort of taking care of our people. At least I hope we do.
I think so.
What a treat. What a treat. Thank you so much. This has been fantastic. Thank you for coming, for joining me for the interview, for sharing your story with me and sharing your story with everyone else. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad we could get together and talk.
Me too. All right, we will be talking soon. Take care. Thank you so much.